Good morning, everybody. MG here, MGCovers, bringing you a brand new handicapping video. Title of this video is a preview of soccer totals for MLS for August the 4th, 2021. Before we do that, as always, if you like this video, provides you some value, appreciate the like on this video. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you will learn a ton about sports handicapping, do's and don'ts, and basically the unadulterated truth about this business. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm MGCovers, covers spelled with a Z. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And if you follow me, I put a ton of information, content out on Instagram, absolutely free, so you get a lot of value. Simply follow me. So let's dive right into it. A little bit of background here. You're looking at the power rankings that are available to my clients, and I've got it blocked out, the actual sidelines for each team. But what I want to show you is this is the old way that I calculated totals here. And this is what I call the sharp total, which is a new way I've recently discovered. Now, I want to show you one tip that I think will help you if you are building models. Because I use this in NFL football as well for one particular stat. And I think this has definitely helped increase the accuracy of my totals, which is something I'm just now exploring. Haven't officially started. I've wagered on 2 totals games so far year to date with soccer, but it's something I'm definitely going to incorporate into my wagering. If you see it says CF Montreal here, these are their this particular. So they scored. They won this one 5-4, 2-1, 1-0, and 0-0. That was their last 4 at-home matches. But notice this is a 5 here. So the way that I calculate this, I'm not going to reveal the actual way I calculate it, but instead of this being a 5, I make this a 3 with my calculation. The reason being there's something called the truncated mean, and to explain truncated mean in layman's terms is you don't want to factor in this 5 into your totals because that's not a realistic number that is of goals that is scored normally in soccer. So I use what's called a truncated mean and just cut this off at 3. Same deal if you were doing a baseball model on totals and you were using runs scored. If a team scores 13 runs, you would not want to use that 13 because scoring 13 runs in a baseball game is not a realistic score. And therefore, if you add that 13 to the other, quote, normal scores per se, it's going to throw off your model. So truncated mean is really something to incorporate into your stat models, those of you that are interested in building models, and it will definitely increase the accuracy. All right, so enough of that. So let's dive into the actual totals. I'm going to show you how I calculate margins, very similar to how we do sides as well. New England and Nashville. And what I've got right here, this is the old way that I calculated it, and this is the new way. And you'll see for the most part, these lines really over here are not that realistic as far as compared to the sportsbook line, and these tend to be, they'll be lower as far as total, but a lot more accurate. All right, so New England, Nashville, you're coming over here, you can see the total line is 2.5, and what you'll see generally the side that's quote, which is more likely to happen, you end up paying a little bit more juice. What I mean by that is the tendency or where the books is leaning is on the over, so therefore you pay a little bit more juice there, minus 125. Now, how you would calculate this total is, I guess I could do it right here. All right, so you would take the low number, which is 2.5, divided by the big number, which is 3.25, and that would give you 0.76. And then you take let's see if I can do this, 0.76 minus 1, and that gives you 0.23, and you convert that into a percentage, that is 23%. So what I just did was I basically just, whoops, too far over here. I just calculated margins. So for this particular game we have, or match, we have a 23% margin, which is really good. So a margin, in essence, what we're measuring is the difference between my line and the sportsbook line. So the greater that margin, the greater chance of that particular total moving towards the over there. So that's a pretty good margin, 23%. Okay, let me get this back on the screen for you. Okay. All right, CF Montreal, Atlanta. Our line is 2.75. The actual book is 2.5, and you can see with the old way I calculated it was 4.63. So this is definitely a more realistic number. Now I'm going to pull up just do this on the calculator this time so you can see it, and you'll notice now that this margin is a lot tighter margin. So when you're calculating margins, it's very simple. It doesn't matter if it's your line or the sportsbook line. You always put the smaller number on top. So 2.5, 2.5 divided by our line, which is 2.75. And that's 0.90 minus 1 is 10. So a 10% margin is extremely tight. I would generally only consider a play if you're dealing with a side like a money line. For any sport, you need to have at least about 15% margin, and that would be true if you're measuring like just about any type of margin, just like somebody owned a retail store. 15% margin or 15% markup is pretty good. Okay, alrighty, so let's go. So that would be, we wouldn't consider that a play, but of course we would this one. All right, Columbus Crew, DC United. You can see that's a 2. We have 2.5. So again, pretty good margin there. And after you do these a while, you'll be able to recognize the numbers, and you won't have to do the calculations. 2 divided by 2.5, 80. So that's a 20% margin. So that we would definitely consider that play. And yeah, you can see here that you'd have to pay a little bit more juice on that one. That's where the book anticipates majority of plays there on that over. You got to pay 135. So soccer total is completely different than totals you'll find in other sports. Philadelphia Toronto, big total here for us, 3.75. We have this at 3. Obviously, there's margin. I'm not going to do the calculation, but we have significant margins on the over. However, it's very rare to see the average total in soccer is 2.5. So if this thing lands on a 3, it would be a push. So in order for you to win your wager, you'd have to have 4 goals scored total. And I just don't think that's a smart wager. I think you're probably better off sticking to 2.5, considering that 2.5 is the average amount of goals scored in a soccer match. So even though we do have value there on the over, and of course there's exceptions to the rule always, I still don't think that would be a good wager. All right, Chicago Fire, New York City. We have it total at 3.5. You come over here. The line is 3. Again, almost the same type scenario as I just mentioned there. Still get a little bit of value on the over, but for that same reason, I would probably pass on that one. New York RB, Cincinnati, we have it at 3.25. And the actual line here is 3, so that would be too tight of a play. Come back here, Austin and Houston, and you can see again how much the change that I made, and that's another good lesson in tweaking your model. 3.5 was the old way I calculated. The new way I have it at 1.25, and you can see here the total is 2.5. So the only way we'd lose this wager if they scored 3 goals. We have it at 125. I'll go ahead and show you them. We'll do the calculation on the margin here. So 125 divided by 2.5. That's another thing I do. I just leave out the decimal and just 125 divided by 250. Whoops, I'm sorry. Just represented as whole numbers, and the calculation still works out the same. So 0.50. So yeah, we get a 50% margin in this one, and you'll see significant margins when you play the under. The public generally loves to play overs, and where's that one at? Yeah. See, the over is minus 101, so they are anticipating the under. Got to lay minus 119 juice, but I do like this play here. 125. So if it ends in 1-1, Again, the only way you would lose that if they score 3 goals total. And we're anticipating only 1.25 goals scored. All right, Seattle-Dallas, we have this one as a 2. Line is 2.5, so you do get pretty good margin there. We'll calculate this one, 200 divided by 250. Yep, 20% margin there, so that play is definitely one to consider there for the over. Scroll down to Portland. Check out this Portland. Nope, I was too far. Los Angeles and Sporting. This one, the same type deal. This is a 3. You got to pay juice. They're anticipating the over hitting there. Got to lay minus 128. We have it at 425, so you're definitely getting some value. But again, I just don't think that would. I mean, possibly. I mean, you could, play it again. It's just about judgment. But I tend to like to stick to, that 2.5 number. But it definitely does favor the over there. Portland, San Jose. We have it at 2.5. Sportsbook line is 3, so that's one that definitely favors the under. And again, when you have these whole numbers, another good thing about wagering here, especially on the under, I really love this one, Portland, San Jose. We have it at 2.5. Line is 3. If this match ends on a 3, it's a push. So the only way you would actually lose this wager if they scored 4 goals total, and we're only anticipating 2.5. So the whole numbers are very good, especially if you're going in that, on the under in this particular play. Again, of course, got to lay minus 121, but that's a pretty solid wager there. Good value. All right, LA Galaxy and Real Salt Lake, we have it at 3, and of course the book is a 3 as well. So anyway, that's the review of totals. Just a quick review. Again, if you're calculating margins for totals, you always put the small number on top divided by the big number, regardless if it's a sportsbook line or your line. Divide that, whatever that number is. You subtract 1, and that's going to give you your percentage. All you have to do is just, if it's 0.23, you just turn that into a percent, which would be 23%. And then also too, if you are working on models, remember, especially total models, you want to eliminate these high scoring numbers and sort of tweak that into, and you might have to do some research if you're building a model and make it where it's, have to see what quote average is, or a realistic high number, just like, the max amount of goals that are considered average would be 3 goals scored in a soccer match. So hopefully that helps. As always, if you want access to these sharp totals, I'll be doing these for all the major soccer leagues. I'm just doing it right now for MLS, but once all the major soccer leagues start, we'll have the actual sharp total here, as well as the sides that I have blacked out here. You also get access to my MLB stat model, which you update daily. If you're a client, you can get that for $49.95 per month, as well as access to all my coaching videos. If you want access to all my plays, in addition to all of the power rankings and coaching videos, that's $99 per month. You can join for an entire year. That's the best value. $4.99. You save about $600. Links in the description box for both of those. Hope you guys have a good day, and good luck with these MLS totals if you decide to wager. Peace.